You finally get a quiet moment, and instead of peace, you feel pressure. The day slows down. The email stops. The house gets still. The thing you've been waiting to finish is finished. You sit down and you tell yourself, this is it. This is the part where I exhale. This is the part where my body loosens and I come back to myself. But your body doesn't loosen. Your jaw stays tight. Your shoulders stay high. Your mind starts scrolling through problems like it's searching for something to fight. You feel restless, agitated, strangely alert, like calm is a trap and you're about to get caught being unprepared. And the most confusing part is that nothing is happening. You're not in danger. You're not in a crisis. Nobody is yelling. Nothing is burning down. So why can't you relax? Here's the question that changes the entire meaning of what you're living. What if you can't relax even when you're safe? Because your body isn't responding to your life today. It's responding to a nervous system state your life trained into you, and your system hasn't been convinced the danger is actually over. If this is you, you've probably tried to fix it in ways that made you feel worse. You've tried meditation and spent the whole time thinking about what you should be doing. You've tried taking a bath and felt guilty for wasting time. You've tried lying down and felt your heart race, as if your body didn't trust stillness. You've tried taking a day off and realized your mind doesn't know what to do without a task to hold on to. You've tried being grateful, being positive, being disciplined about self-care. And underneath all of it, there's this humiliating truth you don't want to say out loud. Rest doesn't feel like rest. Sometimes it even feels like panic. So you start negotiating with yourself. Maybe I just need to be more productive so I can earn it. Maybe I need to be stricter with my routine. Maybe I need a better supplement. Maybe I'm just anxious now, and this is who I am. Maybe I'm broken in a way I can't see, and because it's hard to explain, you might hide it. You might keep yourself busy on purpose so you don't have to face the discomfort of quiet. You might fill every open space with screens, noise, errands. Just one more thing, because at least busy feels familiar. At least busy feels like control. But the cost shows up in your body anyway. The insomnia that makes no sense. The headaches that arrive on weekends. The tension that doesn't drop even on vacation. The weird irritability when someone needs you after you finally sat down. The fatigue that feels like you're tired and wired at the same time. Like your body is running on alarm even when you're trying to power down. This is the part that messes with your identity. People think of stress as what happens when life is hard. But for you, stress is what happens when life gets quiet, and that makes you feel ashamed, like you're failing at peace. You're not failing at peace. Your nervous system just hasn't learned it yet. There's a truth most people miss because it's simpler than the stories we tell. You cannot talk a nervous system into safety. You can talk your mind into new beliefs, but your body is running older software. It measures threat with sensation, pattern, and history. It doesn't trust your calendar. It trusts what it has survived. It trusts what is repeated. This is where the nervous system state's codex becomes an interpretive lens instead of a label. Through a soft, polyvagal lens, it explains why your system can get stuck in protection states even when your life looks stable. There are states where your body feels safe enough to connect and settle. There are states where your body mobilizes, ready to fight or flee, ready to fix and handle and manage. And there are states where your body shuts down, numb and collapsed, because it can't stay mobilized anymore. When you can't relax, you're often not in a thinking problem. You're in a mobilized state that has become your default. Your body learned that being ready is safer than being calm. It learned that letting your guard down invites consequences. It learned that quiet is when things go wrong, when the phone rings, when the bad news arrives, when the criticism lands, when someone's mood shifts, when you get blindsided. So now, even when the room is calm, your body stays on duty. That's why rest feels uncomfortable. Rest asks your system to do the one thing it was trained not to do. Stop scanning. Stop bracing. Stop controlling the outcome. If you grew up in an unpredictable environment, calm wasn't real. Calm was the pause before impact. If you lived in chronic stress for years, urgency became normal and slowness became suspicious. If you learn to survive by being needed, then quiet time doesn't feel like safety. It feels like losing your purpose. This is why you can sit on a couch with nothing happening and still feel tension in your chest. Your body is not reacting to the couch. It's reacting to what the couch used to mean: vulnerability. And once you see that, shame starts leaving the room. Because you stop calling it weakness. You start calling it conditioning. Your body isn't dramatic. It's loyal. This lens has roots that matter because it keeps the conversation grounded. Modern polyvagal informed language comes through neuroscience and clinical observation of how the autonomic nervous system shifts between connection and protection. But the deeper knowing is ancient. Humans have always recognized that the body changes under threat. People's voices change. Their eyes change. Their breath changes. Their posture changes. Some become loud. Some become fast. Some become quiet. Some disappear. Older cultures, long before anyone used modern terminology, built regulation into daily life through rhythm and ritual. Song, drumming, synchronized movement, communal meals, firelight, silence, prayer, breath, touch, and seasons were not just cultural aesthetics. They were nervous system technologies that help bodies come back to safety together. That historical thread matters because it tells you something simple. Regulation is not a moral achievement. It's an embodied process. Your system doesn't settle because you deserve it. It settles because it receives enough consistent cues that safety is real. Now look at modern life, and you can see why so many people can't relax. We live in constant stimulation, constant alerts, constant content, constant urgency. Even if your personal life is calm, the environment isn't. Your nervous system is being fed signal all day, and then you expect it to switch off instantly because you finally have an evening free. That's not how bodies work. You can see this pattern in real life everywhere. You see it in high performers who crash on weekends. They hold themselves in mobilization Monday through Friday. Then Saturday comes, and their body finally drops into exhaustion, headaches, low mood, brain fog. People call it laziness, but it's often a nervous system swinging from fight or flight into collapse because it never got small downshifts during the week. You see it in burnout recovery, where the most confusing part isn't fatigue, it's the inability to rest without anxiety. A person takes time off and feels restless, irritable, guilty, like they're doing something wrong by not producing. They think they're ungrateful or unmotivated, but what's happening is the nervous system doesn't recognize rest as safe yet. The identity that survived by pushing is still running the body. You see it in caregivers and parents, where the body stays on duty even when the house is quiet. They can't fully settle because their system has learned that if they relax, someone else will need something. Something will fall apart. Something will be missed. Their vigilance is love, but it becomes an injury when it never turns off. You see it after illness or long stress seasons too. Even when someone is medically better, their body can remain hypervigilant. They scan for symptoms, interpret normal sensations as warning, and try to control their health through constant monitoring. The mind thinks it's being responsible, but the body is living in alarm. Calm feels like negligence, and you even see it in people who have everything they wanted: a stable relationship, a steady job, a decent life. And still, their body won't unclench. Because safety isn't only about circumstances. It's about whether your nervous system believes the circumstances will stay safe long enough to let go. This is why you can't relax. Not because you're failing at healing, because your body is still protecting you from a world it hasn't learned to trust. So how do you shift this without turning regulation into another performance you fail at? It starts with one honest move. Stop demanding instant calm. Instant calm is a fantasy sold by people who profit off your desperation. Your nervous system doesn't switch states because you told it to. It shifts because you guide it repeatedly, gently, and consistently. Begin by giving your body a landing sequence instead of expecting it to land on command. If you've been in motion all day, don't go straight from stimulation to silence and call it rest. That jump can feel like a cliff. Give yourself a transitional ritual that tells your body the day is ending. Dimmer lights, a shower, a slower meal, a short walk, stretching that isn't a workout, a few minutes of quiet without a screen. Not as a perfect routine, as a message. You're allowed to come down now. Then reduce the cues that keep you mobilized. For many people, the biggest cue is input. Notifications, headlines, rapid content, constant texting, late night work, caffeine that extends urgency into the evening. Your nervous system cannot learn safety while it's being fed threat signals, even subtle ones. You don't need to quit your phone. You need to create edges where your body can breathe without being pulled back into alertness. Next, practice orienting, not analyzing. When you feel restless in quiet, your mind will try to solve it with thoughts. Instead, bring your body into the present through simple orientation. Look around the room slowly. Notice what's actually here and let your senses tell your brain, I am not back there. I am here. This is not the old chaos. This is a lamp, a wall, a cup, a window, a safe room. It seems too simple until you realize your nervous system learns through sensory proof. Also, let movement be part of rest. If your body has been bracing, stillness can feel unsafe. Gentle movement can be the bridge back to safety. Not punishment, not intensity, just motion that discharges the day. Walking, light stretching, shaking out tension, slow breathing that lengthens the exhale. This tells the body it doesn't need to hold readiness in the muscles. Finally, set one boundary that protects your downshift. The boundary might be a time you stop working, a time you stop checking messages, a limit on heavy conversations late at night, a choice to not schedule every evening. You are not being difficult. You are teaching your nervous system a new truth. My life contains safe space. These are not hacks. They're repetitions. And repetition is how the body learns what the mind already knows. When this begins to change, the first transformation is not that your life becomes perfect. It's that your inner climate softens. Before, you lived in a quiet bracing. Even good moments had a background hum of readiness. You couldn't fully enjoy rest because part of you was scanning for what could go wrong. You tried to force calm, and when you couldn't, you blamed yourself and added more pressure, which made your body even more alert. After, you start feeling something new in small pockets. Unforced calm. Not numbness. Not collapse. Calm. You notice your shoulders drop without you commanding them. You notice your breath deepen without you trying to control it. You notice you can sit in silence for a few minutes without needing to fill it. You notice you can rest and not feel like you're committing a crime. Trust returns slowly, but it returns. Clarity sharpens because your mind isn't running on alarm. Self-respect grows because you stop treating your limits as weakness and start treating them as wisdom. And the most powerful shift is internal first. You stop trying to become someone who never feels anxious, and you become someone who knows how to come back to safety. That's healing, not the absence of activation, but the ability to return. If you're honest, what does not relaxing look like for you most clearly? Tight jaw, busy mind, insomnia, irritability, scrolling, needing noise, or feeling guilty when you stop? Which cue could you remove this week so your nervous system gets one consistent signal that safety is real? Your inability to relax is not a personality flaw. It's a nervous system vow made in an older season, and your body will keep honoring it until you teach it, through repetition, that safety no longer requires constant readiness. If this episode named what you've been living, share in the comments what your body does when it tries to rest, and what helps you soften, even a little. Subscribe for more Prophecy Pulse episodes that translate confusion into pattern recognition, so your health can rebuild through calm, trust, clarity, and self-respect.